in California, you just get that beautiful time all the time. But then it kind of drives you kind of crazy because you don't get that cold fall feeling, where the leaves start to fall and you don't get that snow. I got friends out there and we'll go sometimes, snowboarding in the mountains. And when the second they see snow, they go crazy. They all take pictures, like, oh, everybody post up for a picture of snowing outside. I'm like, I've seen this a million times. I can't stand this damn snow, Minnesota gets plenty of that. But yeah, I mean, what was I saying? Like,
I remember my buddies from Texas came up to visit Minnesota, and it was in the winter. And then I guess we left a half drinking water bottle in the car. And the next day it was frozen. And they were so amazed by the fact that there's frozen water in here. Like they've never seen that before.
Yeah.
And they were really amazed by that. And so that perspective from the outside, I don't know. Yeah, you take it for granted. But
yeah. But Minnesota, like I was saying, because we get 4 seasons, and I wish the spring and fall were a bit longer because those are my favorite. Like the
transitions,
the
transition seasons.
Those are when you get the most beautiful days. But
I know we're pretty much on the cusp of that right now.
Yeah,
like
these are the best days right now. We only get like maybe a few weeks of them at best. As the leaves start to come down and boom, it's super cold. But I mean, when you live here, you always have to try and find things that are seasonal, I mean, once you start, football is like one of those things for the fall and winter and stuff like that. But then, like Zoo mentioned, there's that fishing in the spring and summer and sometimes late fall too as well. But I just wish I could pick up more activities to do, and especially in the cold winters. Like I wish I was a good snowboarder or skier or something, Like what do you do in this cold winter, this 3-4 months of frozen tundra?
The time percentage that your body's outside is very limited. And now that you work from home too,
you never step outside.
You probably go outside once every few days.
What? I gotta go to the grocery store. Shit.
No, just Amazon it. I Amazon my groceries right now, man. So there is really no reason to go outside, but there is a seasonality to life. I'll say that. Like one of the books that I've read recently really touched me was "Let Your Life Speak" by Parker Palmer, and he ended the book talking about that, like because the book's about what let your life speak, meaning like outside of the mundane, the work, those types of things that you have to do, if you let your inner life speak and take control, whatever, that goes beyond occupation. That now becomes your vocation. That becomes your calling, whatever you would call it. And so that's what the book's about. But at the end, he talked about how like there's, even in your whole life, your own life in general, there's a seasonality to it. And so you experience these different periods of life where he talked about his own depression. He went through periods of depression, periods of regrowth, and then he kind of goes back into certain seasons. And so Minnesota has that. It reminds us of that a lot. A lot of Minnesotans will complain about, when it gets cold, it gets snowy, and you're stuck on like 40 minutes of traffic because of it and stuff like that. Like I hate that, but at least there's something about the psychology of seasonality giving you something to look forward to. There's something that kind of gives you that reminder of there's this period that's passing on, and reflect, and then looking forward to this that's coming up, whether it's activity and stuff. And
it helps you move through the year as it goes with all the different anniversaries, the holidays, the birthdays, and everything. It really helps you go into that next transition of whatever in Minnesota. So that's cool.
When you think of memories, good times you've had in Minnesota, or at least when I reflect on them, the seasonality was a big part of it. If I think, that was a great night with my friends 10 years ago, we went out to this restaurant and there's a memory. I remember if it was us in our bundled winter clothes or not. There's a seasonality that plays a part even in those memories. There may be memories made when it was a summertime or a fall. So that distinctness, I wonder, like in California, you think about your memories, they were all sort of that same climate, no matter what. Like that day we went to the beach, and that was really fun, but was it in May? Was it in December? Or like...
It's the same season.
Right? Like, because there's a that there's associated with your fondest memories are associated with seasonality, and
Yeah.
it's enhanced when Christmas is one of the fondest memories, and it's enhanced by our winter. So
Yeah, as we approach the back half of the year, obviously there's football, but then there's obviously all the holidays are coming up, the big holidays with Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. But once that passes over, like the damn long Januaries and Februaries and March. I mean, for me, that's the most dreaded time of the year for me.
that's the long stretch, kind of like the long night there, because there's no
Yeah.
there's no holiday or whatever to get.
Yeah, there's
look forward to.
nothing. It's just 3 months of, gray, darkness, depression.
It's usually, I think, the more brutal part of our winters too, because sometimes the snow doesn't even hit the ground until mid-December, and then it starts coming nicely on for Christmas. But then the most brutal winters, or part of that, is in that thick of January, February, where it's just like negative 14 out, nobody's going outside, and that every day looks the same for a long time.
No color, just this gray
Yeah.
silhouette of just depression. That's it is. Just grayness, nothing. No yellow, no brightness, no greens, no nothing.
That's the best time, though. That's when you focus on yourself and you do your whatever you want to do at that time. You can just in hiding, and then once that time comes, boom.
So that makes a lot of sense, but it seems like people don't do that actually. Like there's something with the psychology of people like to be or people are more motivated and wanting to now improve things or do things when the sun is more present, when the season arrives. But you really should be doing it, maybe working on yourself and stuff in those cold, quiet months. But those cold, quiet months are usually times I reflect where it's hard to even do anything because you think that it's a great opportunity to now focus, but it's hard to really focus when you see barely any sunlight. You're caught up in mundane stuff. And
Too depressed.
It does. It has a factor on that. And I don't know why. Like you think, yeah, I should work out during this time and improve myself, but it's usually the hardest time too. At least for me, like it's the hardest time to be motivated.
Yeah, but once it starts getting nice out, and that starts to pass over, it's the best feeling. That's what I love about spring. It's just like, oh, dang, grass is starting to grow again. People are mowing their lawn. I hear birds.
Is that a lawnmower? Is that wow.
You can kind of smell it in the air, Birds are chirping again, That's when you're like, oh, it's going to be a nice long 8 months now of no snow,
And I love looking at the clock. And it's like 8 o'clock, and it's like, what? It's already 8 o'clock. The sun's still out. Like, I love that feeling too. And that's probably the only thing about the seasonality I don't like. There's climate you deal with, but it's the sunlight you get, and that's a big effect. And I understand it is a big effect on people's emotional stability, their motivation. The sun is a huge aspect of just like folks from all different time periods in life and how it triggers your circadian rhythm. If you don't think about it, because you could be a hermit or the basement ghoul and really live off all your needs without ever seeing the sun. You could actually live that life. And so you think that's possible. You neglect the effect that sun actually has. And so that's the part that always hits me with the season changes. It's really depressing when it's 4:30 and you're driving home or whatever, and it's like, man, it's already dark out,
None of this means anything to the basement ghoul. They don't even know what's going on outside. Is it sunny? What time of the year is it?
I need to go back to my games and everything.
My game, it's summertime. Traveling there.
Yeah, it's already 2025, more than halfway through, right? We're like, what, 60% of the way of the year and maybe a little bit more. It's kind of crazy how fast it's gone.
I've always felt like the older I get, like the faster the years are coming.
Yep.
Like a lot faster. When I was a kid, all I could think about when I was a kid was like, when am I going to be a grown-up? I want to be grown up. Hurry up and get grown, so I can go do things on my own.
I want to have sex.
I know. Yeah, that's my big present. Make my own decisions.
Why do I have to wait so long?
I didn't understand what responsibility was. I just wanted to be grown up, do all the shit that grown ups do, you know? Like, I want to go out and just do what I want, when I want, you know? And then when you're a grown up now, like, shit, it took forever to become a grown up. And then suddenly now, it's like, it's only a matter of time before you're just an old man, you know? And then it's all over. It's just like, man, I'm like close to my halfway point of my life. And it's like, shit. Time is going by so fast every year. It's just like, what the hell? It's already Christmas again, you know? It's like, it's not slowing down at all. And I don't know if it's this idea of the consciousness being more conscious,
being more aware,
more
mindful of time and everything.
Yeah. Or somehow just reflecting or just understanding it or just the way it goes. And as you learn more and you become that more conscious, like time just becomes a lot faster. It just feels a lot faster. Not that it's actually going a lot faster. It just feels everything just moves quicker, you know, in that perspective.
There's a natural phenomenon of just time as a ratio, because if you're 2 years old, 1 year, you know, is half your life. And then every year you grow older is a smaller percentage. 1 year becomes a smaller percentage of your whole perspective of life.
Yeah.
And so that's why it feels shorter. But it's also, I don't know. I'm experiencing a lot of things in my late 30s right now where my thoughts are exactly reflective of what the old geezers used to say, you know, like there's still a child mentality in me that feels like when I look around and I see friends and brothers and like we're like the youth kids we used to be.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't believe, like, if I were to look at another dude in their late 30s, like, you know, some white dude at work or whatever, they look old as hell. But like we're that age. You know? And then, you know, the other phenomenon, like football again, every time I see football players, I look like up to them like they're adults.
Yeah.
These guys are young as shit, you know?
They're actually kids.
They're kids, man.
Kids.
Like, these are kids on television talking and everything. So I've watched football for so long, you look up to them because they're adults doing professional things, big guys. Yeah, these are kids, man, like comparatively, you know, like, and so that's just crazy too, because that's how old you are now. And
yeah, psychologically, I've never pinpointed the moment I considered and saw myself, oh, I'm an adult now, you know? I still feel like a big kid. And I'm 43.
yeah.
You know, I still just feel like a big kid, you know? And
I do too.
it's like, I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot more responsibility, but, you know, mentally, you're just kind of like, I'm just living. Like, you always think when you're a kid that you're going to cross this point in this line because of what your parents, you know, and who they are to you and how you look up to them. And you just see this sense of authority and power and understanding, and they know it all. And they have this, you know, ridiculous amount of responsibility over you and life and everything. Then one day when you're going to get to that point too, you're just turn it on and, oh, I'm an adult now. You know, I'm an adult.
I have arrived.
Yeah.
You know, I'm an adult now. Yeah.
Never happens, you know.
I'm still waiting for it to happen. I feel like I am. I'm like,
tomorrow, Schee. Tomorrow.
I'm still kind of a kid. I view our conversations like we're kids talking when we're kids, and but damn it, I have a kid I need to take care of. I have 3 kids I have to take care of.
Well,
that's when you become sort of like that other side.
That's interesting. That is one factor. Having your own kids is one of those things that really do wake you up. You kind of realize, it's not the same anymore, you know, like I got this ultimate big responsibility on my plate now. Even though you still feel like a big kid and you don't feel like this ideal, you know, subject of being an adult or something.
Or like a subject of authority. You're like this authority figure and everything. Yeah.
But things are a lot different when you have your own kid, you know. Then you do kind of feel like, now I got to live my adult life.
Gotta take care of these kids.
Take care of kids now.
Ungrateful ass kids, man.
But I mean, it's also a beautiful thing, you know, to take on that responsibility and come to terms with it, you know, because you don't know until you know. When you have, like, it's like someone can explain to you about how life is going to be when you have kids. Like, when you have your own kid, this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And all that shit doesn't mean nothing until you have your own kid. And once you have your own kid, then you'll figure it all out, you know.
You'll figure it out, but at the same time, I feel like the opposite is true too. So having a kid does change a lot in terms of like my perspective on life and everything. But at the same time, you almost create this depiction of parenthood that's so authority otherly that when you become a parent, you think that your mind's gonna transform, and now you're like, I've arrived. I'm a parent. No, I still felt the same before my kid came, and and after they came. Like, I understand the responsibility is different, but I'm still like, I was kind of waiting for that moment to like, oh, like they see in the movies, the rite of passage. You've been knighted or something. Like you're now ready to take on parenthood. I still feel like, oh, yesterday my kid wasn't here, and now my kid's here. It's kind of the same. Now I just have to look after them all. But then there's times throughout the process over the next years that'll test you in that regard in a slow drip way, to where your brain starts to morph into that old geezer authority figure that back in my day, kids, you have no idea how you had it. Like, I used to watch TV on this and blah, blah, blah. Then
I'm already that
geezer.
guy.
Yeah.
I'm the old geezer already,
It just naturally happens so slowly. Yeah, so I do see myself as that kid still, but I see myself like, man, I'm an old geezer now too. Like,
I'm the authoritative figure in my house. In fact, I'm so much it that when I'm not, like my girls, they get excited. They're like, "Ooh, Dad's fun, Dad today."
we're having kid dad.
He's like kid dad playing with us and chilling. He's not this yelling, angry old man anymore. They like that. But that guy only shows up like every now and then, and it's less and less. It's like. Don't have the energy anymore to be kid dad, superhero dad.
I know.
I'm always like, somebody's got to be the adult in the house. So, got to do what I got to do.
Yeah, and I don't know. For some folks, I mean, I don't know what your opinions is, because like for some folks, the adulthood arrives when you move out the house, or when you buy your own house, or when you
No, I don't think it's so.
Because
I mean, I moved out. I bought my own place. I've done my own things, and you'd never feel that sense, right, Zoo? Like,
I guess asking me
because
you don't
all
have
of them
kids
single
yet.
dad.
you don't have kids yet, so
But you're still out there. You're getting up there in age where you kind of like can assess back and be like,
you bought a house. You're completely independent, self-sufficient. But I don't know. Do you still feel like I'm just like a big kid still?
of course he
every
does.
day.
He has toys.
No, I feel like that too as well, but I just don't have responsibilities like you guys right now, so it's just kind of.
I mean, you have
Easy, but
responsibilities. I mean,
Well, yeah,
for at least to yourself, and the things that you have, I mean, the easiest part, the responsibilities that you have are on objects, your bills, your house, your toys, whatever. But you don't have any of the responsibility on another person, You don't have to, prepare yourself or anything like that, or like meet someone's standard or do anything that or have any expectations that you have to come up to, or anything like that to anyone. You just owe it all to yourself. So I mean, there's this sense of still that responsibility that's there, but it's totally different when you have to have that on another person, like your wife or your kids or whatever else. It's a lot more challenging that route.
I don't know. I'll throw it out there that whatever phenomenon we're talking about, I don't know, maybe it's just normal. Maybe a lot of other late 30, early 40 year olds feel the same way. We're like, I just feel like we're big kids. There's the other possibility that I do think your childhood, if you're not enabled or encouraged to live out your childhood as a kid, and you're sort of suppressed, from living a childhood, then even when you grow up and now responsibility and you have money, you still feel like that child inside. Like I say that because I feel like my memories as a child were just like yesterday. I can remember the feeling of being a kid just like yesterday, but my 20s are different. My, early 30s, those memories are different. Like I have some, but they're hazy or whatever. But my memories, the instances or even the sentiments I had as a 7-year-old, what I felt or feared, like I can remember those like they were yesterday. And so that's why I have that big kid notion. Like, we're just like, when do you become an adult or whatever? I just feel like I'm a big kid or whatever. Maybe we still have that because there is, I think there's a generation of like just extremely underprivileged children that don't get to live a child life.
Yeah.
And they're just, beholden to whatever, whatever situation they have, living in projects or, foster homes or whatever, or in a household that's broken. And there's a lot of kids that don't get to be kids.
Yeah.
And so I think there's some truth to that too. So when those kids become adults, they've had a different life, a different perspective. And a lot of times they're a little bit more like savvy or aware about situations because they've seen parents and people who fought each other or like, and so they weren't allowed to live that childhood. But then there's that, what it means is that child never escapes them either too. Like now that they have the means to take care of themselves and buy their toys or whatever, they'll do that.
They want to take full advantage of it. But then there's, on the other hand, there's the people who've been spoiled with that kid life. They just can't get out of it because that's what they're so used to, I don't know. Maybe for me, one of the measurements, not the only, but some of the measurements for me, the way I look at it as far as adulthood life goes is, I don't, besides the idea of responsibility, but I always found like for example, I don't know how to put this. There's always a, you have your public version of yourself. You put on all these hats, right? You have your work hat, when you go to work, and then you have your public social version of yourself. And then there's also the private person, the things you do in private, that no one knows about. It's just you jerk off or, you self-improve or you do whatever. But then I think as at least for me, as I get older, the private Kong versus the public Kong slowly molds to become the same person, Where before, when I was a lot younger, it's always like, oh, there's always this idea in the social world where I'm around friends or I'm going out, or I always had this, facade or this kind of personality that I had to be, or, in the public world, in the public space of like, this is how I want the world to see me, this imagination and whatever I have in my head. But somewhere along the way, as I got older, it's just kind of like, I don't even care anymore, and then your private version of yourself just becomes your public version. And then I come to terms that I realize like what I do in my private is actually so much more important than who I am in public. It's what really defines me. It's what really defines my character and the person I become. And then it gets reflected on the public sphere, and they see it. And it just becomes molded. Now, are there nuances and still differences? Yes, of course. I'm not going to jerk off in public.
There's still got to draw a line somewhere.
There's got to draw a line somewhere, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. I think that's one of the things I'm able to like really use as a rule or measurement to at least see some grown up or adulthood life, in myself of whatever you would define as being an adult,
I think when you were talking about that, I think there's also like, because I know what you mean by that inner circle version of yourself, whether you call it inner circle or just inner yourself, versus you're wildly aware that there's other people and how you're going to be perceived. I remember first feeling that because a lot of that I feel like is also rooted not only in the fact that you age and you change, but it's rooted in just, again, back to upbringing. Like we were Hmong family. I was always very aware that, this is the environment where we're like the family and we're speaking a certain language or doing things with a different decorum. And as soon as like a white dude was in the room or we went to school and there's white people, there was almost a different aura, an entirely different environment, decorum, an entirely different language sort of. I mean, it wasn't different language. Well, some of it was different, but meaning like there was a different version that you almost naturally put up of yourself because you knew that was just different than. Yeah. And I know every family has that, whether you're white, black, it doesn't matter. Every family has that inner culture and then. But for us, it was so stark though. It was very stark because also the generational type thing too of, parents, being, immigrants and so you always had that on off or that stark contrast too.
To add on to what you're saying, like especially with us, we have a very, very unique upbringing because we have no sisters and we have 8 boys. I mean, the odds of that is so slim. And I don't think I've ever met any other family or anyone else I've ever known with that same
that same makeup.
Makeup.
Where we're like 8 girls or something like that. There's always, I've seen a lot of big
always
families,
a mixture.
but there's always at least one or something of the. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so it's our upbringing was really very unique, especially being kids of immigrants and trying to adjust in both cultures in our life of the American culture and then understanding our own heritage and so forth and those practices and understanding there and then school and this whole mix up of everything and then us just being all boys and then becoming men, grown up and everything that a kid goes through when they become a man or whatever else. That's I don't know, like if anybody else is like experienced that kind of thing, that at least that I know of, that makes us kind of in our own kind of realm of whatever experience that we went through.
Big families have a sense of their own sort of family culture and their own mini tribalism within the family. I've seen that with other big families. Of other families that are big and they have this sense of like tribalism or
there's that pride and
or like the inner circle,
Yeah.
And so I also recognize how that plays out in our family. And then the dynamics of like, yeah, you're right. It's all, we were 8 boys raised in this household with parents that, were, really just not that present at all. And then go through the same, bullshit hardship. But then we all have to internalize our experiences differently as adults now. And then how does that turn out now in our adult life? Well, I don't know what that turns out in adult life because, again, I didn't feel yet that I was an adult yet. Like, I'm still figuring that out. Like, how does this all play out on our adult life? And I do see it play out, like, with how families grow up and how their childhood still remains with them, or their characteristics as a child still remain with them, and some kids grow up way differently. It's always a very fascinating thing to look at it in big sibling families, but being a member of sort of that family and that dynamic, that's why there's no real point of where I could feel like I still feel like I'm growing up in the process. I still see some brothers as the big brother, older brother, and some brothers as the younger brother, because you're still stuck in that childhood mentality, even though you're an adult now, but some of those things never leave. And before you know it, you're like you said, 40-something years old, 30-something years old.
Yeah.
Before you know it, are we going to be 56 years old still feeling that same way?
What part of it is too, like whenever I still talk to Dad, he still talks to me like I'm a kid,
That's it too.
And I get the lecture and I'm like, Dad, do you know I'm like 43, man? I'm 43 years old. Like, how old do I got to be before you start to just like, he knows. He knows. He's got it, It's like 43. I'm not 23, And I think that's been probably a big play and a big part of the psyche of the adult life or whatever.
Because maybe, like Dad was such a heavy authority figure. Yeah. Perhaps, being reduced just to that, he was just an authority figure.
Yeah.
I mean.
And that's all he's got to hold on to, He's just holding on to that. And without that, then he probably, not consciously, but at least subconsciously, he's probably just like feeling a sense of like worthlessness, like if I'm not here to be a father role, to teach you, to train you and raise you right, then I feel irrelevant, So he's holding on to that even in his old age, and I get that, but I'm also like, Dad, like it's okay, I'm 43, man.
We're adults now, like beyond measure. We're adults, man. we're but you're right. He still clings on it. So any of the sons or the siblings in our family that aren't married yet, he's harping on them all the time about things and
go to life, you fail. But Dad, it's already too late, man. This is it. There's nothing. There's no like, I'm gonna grow up to become something. I'm already there, If my life has failed, then it's a failure now. Just let it go.
And then it won't be a failure in 2 years now. And it'll be great. And then it'll be failure again after that. That's life, Dad. Like there's no like, yeah. But I think that does play a big factor, that the heavy presence of an authority figure that shapes that family with kids that feel like they never really got to grow up, you know?
Yeah.
Never got to be like kids. That's why they just ran away from home and shit, you know?
But also at the same time, maybe this whole idea and this talk about, you know, the feeling of that line that you draw when you become adulthood, maybe part of it is also, you know, the change in the generations, you know, and when mom and dad do pass and we know that, that was above us is no longer here. And now it's going to be our turn to face the music at some point.
That's true.
You know, I think that plays a significant role too in the psyche.
That is true.
But as long as our parents are still here, then you kind of feel like, you know, you don't think about it. It's not something you think about,
subconscious.
But it is subconscious, you know, and you think that they're always going to go first before you, you know, so it's like, I'm not too worried yet. You know, you don't think about, you know, the ending of, you know, mortality or whatever else, because something's ahead of you. Your parents are, you know, they're there to protect you from that, even though you can die any day, but you just psychologically think that. You know, but when they're gone, then you know, oh shit, like that's a huge part of my life. They're the one who raised me. I've learned everything from them, and I've become so much of who I am today because of them, and they're gone. You know, like, and that time passes, then maybe that's part of opening your eyes to and waking up and feeling like an old man.
Very much so. That's a good point. I didn't even think about too, because we've had such a luxury in life of not having such a devastating loss in our immediate family, you know, and because I know a lot of friends and family that say, yeah, I had a brother, I lost them, or, you know, my mom passed away a long time. So it's kind of crazy to think that, and that I could never fathom that loss. And I know that it'll happen one day. But that presence occupies its space in our mind subconsciously, that mom and dad, strong authority figures, still nagging us, calling us, you know, like,
They want you now.
man, you know, remember mom the other day? Remember I told you I wanted to get that tattoo, and
You told mom you wanted to get that tattoo?
well, no, we were talking about the prospects of getting a tattoo.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, I want this, want that. And I said, I don't know if I can, because I'm going to make, mom's going to be mad. And it sounded like such a childish thing to say. Like, I'm such a child. Like, mom's going to be mad. It's not that I'll get in trouble. It will truly break her heart. But again, it's the occupying of the space in my mind of an authority figure, something I'm beholden to. And I'm not really beholden to them. I'm an adult. But it's like they still occupy a space of their, either it's nagging or disapproving nature, even though it doesn't matter, but because you love them still. Now, if they're dead to you, then you just do you. But you saw mom's reaction to it, right?
Yeah, she was stressed out the entire night.
Right?
Yeah.
So you think, I'm an adult, like, I want a tattoo, man. I know it's not bad. I can do it myself, whatever. Mom was like stressed out. She was. So it's like, man, I can't even get a tattoo. I'm like,
What if it was like a cross?
we already had this conversation. We walked down all these paths and scenarios.
Put like Jesus loves you on your chest or something. Mom would still be against it.
Yeah, I said, Mom, I'm going to get a tattoo of you. Yeah.
She's like, no, got you, you know, like, so what they call it? You're the devil soon, right? you're the devil. And I don't want to make a mockery of her feelings, but man, it's like, it does put you in that mentality space of still the child growing up, but you know.
Mom still has an authoritative power over your choices of what you want to do to your own body. Then yes, you know, it feels definitely like you're still a child.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with the permission or that I'll get in trouble. It's just
being considerate.
I love my mom, and it'll break her heart. And it's like, damn it, I don't want. And I thought about, I'll just do one. She'll never know. I just have to hide it. But I know eventually one day she'll probably see it, and it'll break her heart even more. Like, and that's the sucky part too. So there's things that. So I know that I have every right to, or like. Conviction to feel like I can do that, but it's like, do I want to break my mom's heart? You know?
Yeah, but it's also one of those things. Like I was going back and saying, like the timely demise when mom and dad are no longer here. You know, then there is nothing of that that space is gone, you know, and
That occupied space, yeah,
Yep.
it's empty. Yep.
and what you don't know right now is how much that space might be taken up. You
Yep.
can have an idea. You might think like, oh no, it's just this bit or that bit or whatever, but it could be taking up such a huge, immense amount of occupancy in your thoughts, in your choices, in your beliefs, or who you are, in your makeup. And when they are gone, it's gonna be a lot different.
That's when it hits you. You're like, they're gone.
Yeah.
They're actually gone. Like, you know, and that's one of the things, you know, that opened my eyes when your wife Magao mentioned that. She was like, you have no idea what it means to not only lose your dad, but your mom, and to feel like there's no mom and dad anymore. So that childhood mentality of always relying on that authority, you know, that can always take care of you, that's completely gone. And even though logically, you know, it doesn't impact your life, you're self-made, you got, you know, you don't need them. It doesn't. Even though you know that logically, the occupancy of space and who they were to you is missing now.
Yeah.
And so that's a mentality mind shift changer, and I don't know, there's probably a lot of that. Many adults, doesn't matter how old they get, still. Principal Skinner is like one of those examples, you know. He's the icon of that. So, yes, mother.
Yes, mother.
Yeah. So I mean, we are at an interesting age right now in the seasonality of life, and so it's a child's game, fantasy football, and the whole football era and everything like that too. But I don't know if I'm aging or sort of breaking free from the simulation, but yeah, things in life, they go in different ways, unplanned, unexpected. You know, my last 2 years have been roller coaster in many regard.
Yeah.
But I've also grown in so many ways, in so many capacities, and I've also like suffered and been challenged in the deepest ways as well. And so who knows where that will spin off into, what letting your life speak means, or what vocation looks like, because feeling grounded is a sense every human being wants to have. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of feeling grounded that's starting to feel lost, not just for myself, but just in the society in general, and for myself too. And there's a sense of groundedness that you can have one day and not the next day. And with change and everything that's happening just in the landscape of the world and everything, it's good to reflect on what it is that makes you grounded, and see kind of like, I don't know, how that's always shifting all the time too, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, part of, you know, I don't know if it's exactly kind of some of the thoughts that you were thinking too as well, with everything that you've gone through and life in general and the context of the whole world. But, you know, like, I don't know, sometimes as we get older, I've also come to terms that it's no longer our world. And what I mean by that, it's like, I'm an old man now, and everything that's happening in the world now, like, it doesn't belong to me anymore. It's like the new generation's coming up, you know, and the things that I liked or what made up my generation is now fading away, you know? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
You get that feeling. And sometimes there are certain things that they play onus to, and they celebrate some of the things that we grew up to, you know, some of the celebrities or whatever else.
like Boys to Men singing the national anthem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
There's still some of that gets left over, you know, but it's almost like, hey, we're doing that as a recognition.
An homage and respect to that old dying generation.
Yeah. But goodbye. And that's our generation, you know?
Yeah. I remember being the ones looking up to that old generation saying, what is this boring old people? Like, they need to move on and put on more modern stuff. And now it's like, we're that generation or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. It's no longer our world, and it's growing so fast, you know, and the new generation's coming up, and they have their own way of, you know, living and thinking that sometimes for me, I just feel out of place, you know? Like, I always have this saying that I always say all the time. It's, I say, like, I'm an analog man in a digital world. Yeah, because it's like, that's how I feel, you know? It's just, everything is so different nowadays. Everything's perfectly done and organized, and, now with AI and technology and everything and the advancement of everything that's happening in the world, like I can't keep up anymore. But also at the same time, it's like, it's exciting, like I'm excited to see exactly what the new future generation is going to propose and present itself, and not just in a sense of what we have, but culturally, like how we live and how we carry on our everyday and society and how we make a living, and survive and all that kind of stuff. But also at the same time, I'm kind of like, man, I just miss the old school days, like I just miss back in the days where we can, I don't know, run around the neighborhood and climb trees and go fishing and do all the classical stuff, like I feel like all of that is dying. It's all disappearing. I mean, part of what this podcast is kind of new age meets old age,
Yeah.
It's kind of just conversation and people talking and bringing this technology and recording it together. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot of experiences I'm experiencing now that we're becoming geezers. And I know there's probably a bunch of people like 40, 30. That's nothing. Like you guys, older people love to tell younger people, you guys aren't even old. Yeah. So I know that we're not that old, but I was thinking, but just with the reflections about, like you said, the things we loved, the things that we adored, the things we followed, they're not the mainstream anymore. Like our mainstream died a long time ago. Like today's mainstream, I don't even know. Like I don't know the mainstream stuff now. And that's, again, it's indicative that you're just getting older. That everybody likes to feel that this experience of clinging on to something that's no longer there, and whatever we're clinging on to was way better than what it is today. And, this generation had it better. And then the other therapist voice will say, this is just a part of aging. You just need to move on. It's okay. Every generation before you, when they hit a certain mid-age, they felt those same feelings. So it's like, okay, I'm a part of that system of reflection. But then you can also have to say, maybe there was shit that was so much better back in the day than it is today. Because there's a lot of shit today that's terrible. Yeah. And it's not like about like objectively what's better, but it is the technology, the hyper-reductiveness of the content that kids are watching today it's terrible. Like on an objective level, it's not a generational gap. It's stuff that's deduced to the bottom line of, I know I get this kid's attention for 10 seconds. I better do this short video, that does some absurd thing. Every YouTube, making it big, the hip thing, it vies for your attention because they know it's valuable. They have the headliner of that YouTube video say a certain thing to remark your intrigue. So everything's reduced to that. So there's that aspect too. There's objectively, humanity as a creative spirit is sort of degenerating, and a part of that's technology. A part of AI writes everything for you perfectly. Like
to add on to that point and what you're saying there, like after 2000, the year 2000, or maybe even late 1990s, right? Every generation of childhood required kids to go out and play and meet and hang out and socialize. They'd go to each other's houses. Like when I was a kid, we used to go down the street to our buddy Gerald and Jerry's house and play video games. We meet up with them. We rode bikes. If we wanted to, that was our idea, having fun. That was fun, to socialize,
you gotta go out. You gotta get out of the house.
The 90s were like that. The 80s would have been like that. The 70s, the 60s, the 50s, going all the way back to the beginning of humankind time, And it wasn't until now that the new generation doesn't do that. And I think that's such a drastic change on society of humans, at least in, first world views, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where kids don't really do. I mean, I'm not saying the kids don't do it at all, period. But kids, that's not like a common thing. Kids have options now. They could just sit home all day and just sit on their YouTube all day long, or play their video games as they get older. They don't have to go out there and socialize for the idea of fun anymore. And I'm seeing that become more and more prevalent nowadays, where it's just like, I don't know exactly what that does to the psyche or the culture of society as a whole going into the future, and where these kids become adults. Like, what kind of generation of adults are we raising? Who are they going to become, and how are they going to lead the new world, without those little fundamental things as kids do, you know what I'm saying? And then that's been such a dramatic change for me, and I'm comparably to all the generations in time up until now. And it's been that's just one small aspect that I just feel like I don't understand anymore. That's why I feel like this new generation and this new life is I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying that, it's wrong or morally incorrect or anything that at all. I'm just saying it's different. And I don't know what's going to happen and how that's going to come out on the other end of things.
And then again, the remark would be, well, every older generation always has these old geezer concerns about the next generation. Come on. That is true. But at the same time, your point is made in the uniqueness of the situation by stressing the point. In what period of all human history have kids or adults or anybody been able to find amusement and leisure 100% without leaving their home, without leaving the room? And they could do that not just for a day, but days on end. In all of society, like if you sought out, because every human, that's an innate need for to kill your boredom. You need food, you need comfort, but you need to be satisfied in your amusement. You need to be motivated and find things rewarding, to find things fun. You seek it out. That's an innate need for any human. You go out to do that. Like what you said, when we were kids, you had to go out to get that. Because if you're stuck at home, there's barely anything there.
To experience it.
Yes, so this is a first generation in all of human history where, there's hordes of folks that don't ever, the basement gremlins or even kid versions of basement gremlins that can find leisure, entertainment, satisfaction without leaving their home for days on end. So that and then extrapolate that. I don't know.
And what does that do to kids experiencing and learning and becoming adults? Like kids nowadays, they know ice cream tastes good because that's what everyone said on TikTok, or that's what they read. But they haven't even tried the ice cream themselves. But they have that knowledge that it's good. And it is true, depending on the person. But I'm just saying it's a fact. Ice cream tastes good. But they only know that information because they've learned that through the excess of information that they've been given. But they've never eaten that scoop of ice cream before.
That specific flavor or whatnot.
Or whatever. I'm just using that as the example, And, you take that same example and you just relay that across the board of everything that you learn through the process of experience and trial and error and living life, not just reading it from a book, but actually going through that wisdom of understanding it. And we have an entire generation that is missing out on that. An entire generation that is capturing everything amongst what is shown to them on their screen. And I think that's probably why there's such an influence and push and pull regarding people's morals, people's beliefs, the culture, the state of the nation, the world. Not to get too hard. We went from talking about football and, whatever else to this, but I'm just saying in general, I feel like that's why there's such an influence of different opinions, that are so vast, because no one's really feeling or knowing what is really going on. Everyone is really just getting the information from their trusted sources of information, and who knows what is going on. You got to use that logic, but who knows,
There used to at least be a trusted authority source of, if we can't figure this out, then there's this, we can always fall back on encyclopedia or whatever that authority figure was in knowledge. But today, it's just a shroud of volume and mess. And so, and I saw a really fascinating, Jordan Peterson interview with Jonathan Haidt, who was also a psychologist. And their primary thing was going through Jonathan's most recent book. He's the same guy that wrote that Righteous Mind book that I talked about.
Okay.
And so he was talking about the great correlation he's seeing with the advent of personal devices, the correlation with that. Now he says it's correlation. It's not indicative, but it's correlation of handheld devices, social media, with just this huge increase of suicide or teen suicide, particularly among females. And and he was just going on also just talking about just sort of the, you know, the detrimental effects of just sort of the social psychology and things that are taking place in these environments. So people are getting their social satisfaction without leaving their house, or their social disappointment without leaving the house. They're being shamed without leaving the house, or being praised and loved without leaving the house. All that happening within their device. Yeah, I don't know.
Or even their sexual satisfaction, you know? I mean, sex is a huge driver of why, like, boys and girls, when they become adults, they go out and meet each other and do things, you know? And that's our reproductive
it's innate. It's in dogs. They roam. That's what they do. Like, you got to get out. You got to
gigantic
roam.
Natural driver of everything, you know? And it has such a profound influence on society and culture. And now, like, with everything, it kills that drive, you know? And I don't know, like, what is that gonna do to the psyche? But anyways, sorry, you were saying something.
No, I don't know. That's I don't know what I was saying in particular, but that's kind of what I was talking about. But that interview was really fascinating because it echoes a lot of the things we've been talking about now. Just again, how dehumanization of our society, everything being reduced to the bottom line of people's attention for a split second because it's the most lucrative way. And I see the shit that like my kids will browse through the shorts on YouTube. It's garbage, man. Like it's not the geezer saying this entertainment sucks. You should watch Tom and Jerry. You know, but they love Tom and Jerry actually. But
or even like educational shows back in the days with like on PBS.
Of course,
like
man.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers, man, the magic school bus that would turn tiny and go into the
Reading Rainbow, whatever. You know, there's so many good educational stuff that really sparked like imagination and, you know, learning and all that kind of stuff. Now it's just, man, look at me, I'm jumping in the toilet. Yeah.
That's exactly it, though.
Right?
So now it's not a matter of comparing our content's better than your content. That's not the comparison. It's how the content is even produced, like, or meaning what form does it come in? Not just the fact that it's video versus a TV show on PBS. It's the fact that one had a beginning, middle, end. One encouraged whoever was viewing it to sort of be invited to see how things unfold. Stick with the program. This is developing into something. You have to have a beginning, middle, end. The attention span today can't do that. You have to have the most entertaining factor within 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And then when you get bored, you just switch it.
Yeah.
They were talking about in their podcast how that TikTok or YouTube or whatever, they purposely designed those short videos to emulate like slot machines, the dopamine effect. If you don't like what you're seeing, well, you can switch it and like something else, and you do switch it. And that was really fun. And it was a kick. And then you want to watch the next one. And then, man, it's kind of like.
But to add to that, even the masters of the creators of these individual videos, they've taken a lot of time to really understand exactly what drives people to say, I want to click that, or I'm going to give you my attention. Because, at the end of the day, the currency is really just that attention, like you mentioned. How long can I hold this person's attention to this, whatever I'm doing, And I think through the process of where it's growing and how it's figured out what to capture and what to do. I mean, again, even we're talking about kids, but even as adults, this happens to us all the time, the ads that get fed to us on social media, what gets us to click, what gets us to say, I mean, before it used to be horrible, but now it's like so good. It feeds me all the things that I really am interested in, all my hobbies, and it gives me so many different dynamic variations and stuff like that. And it's the same way of how they are feeding the kids with that kind of stuff too as well. And then the content creators are so good at knowing, okay, just be really loud, have images of this, or
be shocking, be absurd,
do something,
push the line,
add music or something or whatever else it might be, or it's got to be a pretty girl or whatever. It just draws the eyes, because it's really funny because I actually analyze June in particular because she's very big on the YouTube shorts. Yeah, my daughter. She's only 4 now. She just turned 4 a little bit ago, but she does a lot of the YouTube shorts and. she goes scrolls through them, and I'm always trying to understand, why did you stop in this one? Like you just stopped suddenly in this one, and wasn't the other ones as interesting, or why is it this one drew you in? And then she'll watch like most of it or all of it, and then she'll flip through it, and then she'll go again, and again. And I'm trying to understand, what's the psychology here? Like why these things? And I do kind of notice a pattern, like a lot of the times it's, like there's some kind of spookiness to it or something like that. And that happens like quite often too. I guess kids get a certain odd emotional reaction or feeling off something kind of a little spooky or just twisted or eerie in some kind of way, which isn't good. I'm sure it's not healthy for our kids to be doing that, but they figured that out, that's the algorithm that to really get them to pay attention or to really draw
stay
to
on
it.
that video.
Yeah. But there's just so many different variations of this now.
Awe is a very important word because, again, Jordan Peterson was talking about, I don't know if it was in that same interview or another one, but he went on this long, breakdown of the word awe and like sort of a historical context, the religious context of what, is spoken about when to be in awe of God or awe of something. And that word came up because that's what captures kids in a certain moment. Because if there's something kind of spooky or freaky with that video, they're in awe of in a certain way. And whatever they're in awe of you can be in awe of something just completely beautiful and gorgeous, but you can also be in awe of sort of captured in an awe of disgust of something you're seeing that's just like you can't take your eyes away. That factor in kids are sort of being exposed to that, and so they're capturing that awe. But the problem is like some of it, whether it's graphic or not, whatever, giving the child the ability to just have awe here for 10 seconds. Now that wasn't full of awe. That wasn't full of awe. Next one, oh, that was crazy, funny, awe. It's the equivalent, I would call it's the equivalent of sugar in a sense, meaning, sugar in nature, there's sugar in nature. You have an apple, it has a lot of sugar in it, but you complement it with the fiber that it provides because it needs it, you need it for digestive purposes. But if you reduce it down to just the part you want, which is the sugar, forget the fiber, forget all the other stuff that's healthy, that's what content is today. Yeah. It's you take out the story, take out the character building, take out drama, take out character, or not character, but take out the conflict, take out things that lead to the moments of awe in a movie that you were fond of when you were a kid. The lesson, whether it's the lesson or moments of awe, a battle. Now you're just fed bits of made up awe, all the time. It's like ultra reductive of, it's like that sugar's, wringing out all the sugar and just having that, and then going to another base or another source of sugar and another source. That's essentially what it is. I've banned YouTube shorts for my kids. Like I don't, or TikTok and stuff. I let them watch YouTube videos for kids and stuff, but because they were watching the shorts for a while too, and it's interesting. You get into the mind of the developers or the content creator, or whatever that video was, and what they're trying to do to capture. Yeah. One thing, like my girls were just in awe of early on that I know for a fact, no one taught them, no one thought it was cool, said, hey, that's cool, were characters that were pregnant, like Disney princesses that were pregnant and stuff. So content creators would create Disney princesses, Peach and Mario, and Peach would be pregnant. And my girls loved it. Like they would love. And I was like, what the hell are you watching? Yeah. Like, who's making these videos? Like,
were they curious or did
they? They would always watch and be like, then they would later on like sort of play out scenarios. And I'm like, y'all better not be thinking about this shit.
My girls already started doing that too.
But it makes me wonder, why would they're just so fascinated, even at the very young age of seeing, oh, I saw Elsa in that movie, and now there's this made up video. Elsa's pregnant, and she's gonna have a baby. They just love it, And so those are the types of shit that people create just to get fed the views. But it's like, what are you trying to? I mean, there's no story to Elsa getting pregnant. Who's the father? And like, there's no magical ending. There's just a bunch of like random shit, And so it's sort of like a sugar a sugar strain, or you're just trying to get all that bullshit into your mind. Well,
Yeah.
sugar affects your body and your mind, but this content's going to affect your character, your mind, your perception on what's cool, what's creative.
Yeah. And what happens, when you raise them and their entire diet is just that, of all the time. And this idea of appreciation for anything becomes less and less, and they just don't even understand what's good and what's not anymore at all. Well, the only thing that they appreciate is just, what gives me that sugar high, or that instant feeling of of that kick. That's what they're looking for, that awe.
That's why the motif starting off the podcast, where the manifesto part of me talking about, well, what's the goal of this, is we're living in an environment where everything's hyper reduced, like the sugar that's reduced from the apple, the bullshit content that's reduced from storytelling. We're hyper reductive. Our engagements with coworkers, family are reduced to text, letters, and stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's technology, and that's what it'll do. And man, is it really like dehumanizing people? I just think it's weird to see people watch videos made by AI, and they don't know it either. Because I've seen Mom, some other, and it's mostly OGs that do it, where they don't know the difference. Mm-hmm. Elderly, they'll watch these videos and they're actually convinced by what they're saying, and this is so terrible. A human didn't even make this for you.
Yeah,
they didn't think this was cool, so I want to share it. Yeah. AI made some bullshit video and you're watching it, and it's kind of sad. I don't know, that instance is sad. I know it happens all the time, but it's like...
Have you seen the one where they do random animals jumping on someone's backyard trampoline? That thing went viral. It's an AI created video.
Oh, so I didn't know.
So there's a big trampoline, and it's in the video of as if it's one of those surveillance cameras.
Oh, I see.
Watching in the backyard at night or something. It's got that night vision, but it shows a bunch of random animals. One was a bunch of bunnies would come and jump on the trampoline. They're all jumping up and down together, and they just leave. One was a couple deers, and it all looks super real.
Yeah.
And the deers are having the best time, and one of them actually does a front flip and falls over. But I don't know what it is. It was AI created video recently. Well, it's been out for a few weeks now, but it's gone viral, and people are watching it nonstop. There's so many different versions of it now, and there's endless AI videos like that too as well. They're just pumping in, and they're so good too, because I can't tell what is real and what isn't anymore, unless it's too crazy. It's this is obviously AI because that snake cannot be as big as that, or something stupid. But when they try and make it look realistic, it's sometimes it's
very
hard to
indistinguishable. It's very indistinguishable, and I'm not saying all AI produced stuff is bad, because there's some great creative prospects with AI being a big part of it. I'm saying the shit that's reduced to the bottom line of 20 seconds of your attention, and it's AI made. That's where it's just what the hell.
It didn't even come from someone's creativity or thought. It didn't come from anyone's
creativity, and it's also still conveying. Sometimes it's just pure entertainment, it doesn't matter, but sometimes it tries to convey a message or something just weird and dark. It gives you weird vibes, and it's hard to put your finger on it because, I guess things are more familiar if you can imagine a human who's an evildoer behind this to try to implant a message. You say, just don't even look at that. But sometimes, these really weird AI videos have these voices that insinuate weird messages, and there's just cheap crap, and a lot of people are just watching it all the time. Mom was watching this video about diabetes remedies, and it was footage from Morgan Freeman, who was giving a speech, and they had Morgan Freeman's AI voice over him, and he was talking about how this product changed his life, and if you just take this product, it cured my diabetes. And it sounded exactly like, Morgan Freeman. And my mom was watching it. I was just like, man, that's garbage. Turn that shit off. But she's she asked me, is this real? Could be helpful, And it's one thing back in the day when you would see your old mom and dad watch a commercial, and it's that's, don't even look at that. That's just commercial crap. But no, now every little thing they're fed is just weird, artificially tainted randomness, we're not even looking at human entertainment now. We're looking at artificially tainted random instances of provoking some sort of thing in your brain to feel a certain way to capture your attention. So I think that's pretty crazy and pretty novel and pretty worth worrying about as an old geezer, like thinking about the next generation. It's pretty shitty stuff, like,
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm thinking about it and talking about it out loud because I couldn't put my finger on why was I bothered by some of the videos I saw that my kids were on, because they're not overly graphic. They're not like, because YouTube still has to filter out, like, there's not like people getting killed, or there's still stuff that's YouTube safe, but it's the quality of the content, meaning it's just random bullshit. Like it's so void of anything that's worth valuing or remembering, or, that thing hit me, that message. It's just whatever it is to capture your attention for that moment. And it's just insane bullshit. And
well, I mean, if you think about it, isn't that, maybe that's just the test to, play out and influence in regards to like what, things that really do matter. Like, isn't that what politics is right now? Like all it really is just a bunch of bullshit that just gets fed over and over again. I mean, there's definitely meaningful, valuable things that are happening in the world. But in the news cycle of things, that's all people pay attention to is just, sound bites or some stupid article that comes out, or someone said this or she said that. And then there's this huge battle and this war of distraction of just bullshit,
attention diversion and
and it drives people fucking crazy, like up the wazoo, like it makes people just go completely batshit, and because they're forced to be driven to pick a side and have these certain feelings, and the information that they're feeding that is continuously being fed, they're all just, if you pay attention to like all the bullshit stories that the news cycle feeds the public all the time, all it is just emotionally driven. It's just, it's not like, hey, let's go deep dive into our healthcare system, or, our economy, or our foreign policy. It's never a deep dive article of explaining the details of how things can affect this and from an unbiased point of view and the consequences on every single side or whatever. No, it's always, now all you get fed is Trump said this thing. He's a racist.
It's an emotionally provoking piece.
That's all it is.
That it's not it intends to emotionally provoke you versus inform you.
And that's literally the media of politics now, which is crazy, because we, as a society, we don't even know what's going on sometimes in the world anymore. We just are just forced to feel certain ways about certain things, and everything's so emotionally driven now. People can't even have normal conversations or debates about things that are happening in the world because one side's gonna go too crazy, or somebody's gonna go too mad. And I'm not saying whichever side it is, it's on both sides. And because everything is so emotionally charged, like so heavy.
All the messaging they've received.
And then it's either like, it's always going to be the end of the world, no matter what. Oh shit, this happened. It's the end of the world, like, oh shit, that happened. Like we're going to get taken over now, or, whatever it is, and I see that so much now. And I think that's part of the culture that we live in, this constant sugar that you're saying, that diet of sugar, that diet of awe, and we're always just seeking that. And when it comes to especially things that you are emotionally attached to in politics or morals or religion and life, like you're gonna seek that too. Even when they give you good information, like here's a 10-page report and paper on I don't know, of how the foreign policy is going to affect our economy or whatever else. You don't want to read that shit. You're like, fuck that, that's
Where's
boring.
the intrigue? There's no intrigue in that. Where's the
You'll skim through it to see if there's anything in there that's going to excite you. You're looking for that little,
because
candy.
You're so accustomed to the diet of being emotionally provoked that to find a news piece that's completely informative and neutral, it's like, what that's not real, or it won't even make it across my attention.
It's like broccoli, you know? Like, nobody gonna eat them vegetables, you know? Like, I want the candy.
I want the sugar, you know.
Just feed me this piece of candy.
What'll get me riled up for the moment? This year's been this year's been nothing but political candy. Because I swear, like every month, every week, seemingly there's a new what's hot, what's that. And when you're so used to a diet of things, you're almost expecting the intrigue. So Epstein's one of those. Like,
Yes.
You're expecting the intrigue. So when you hear a thorough review was made and there's nothing that... So you're so used to the diet of, oh, there's going to be a drama bomb being dropped, you know, and there's nothing. Like, so...
I was promised cake. Come on. Where's my damn cake?
So where's objectivity, you know, like, or where does objectivity live? Because what if the finding is truly objective? It's not biased. I'm just saying that, you know, what if that is the case? But we don't know what's objective anymore.
No, we don't.
Like,
We
because
don't.
it sounds absurd that they objectively looked at everything and found nothing like that. Why does that sound absurd to me? Now, am I looking for drama? When it's, but yeah. So,
And that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing with almost everything now. Even when you are fed the absolute truth, even if it's boring, or if it's not the excitement that you thought it would be, like, we can't even accept truth anymore. It's like we have our expectations and our, you know, biased beliefs on whatever it might be, that if truth was looking us in the face, we wouldn't recognize
know it. Yeah.
We wouldn't know it at all. And that's the challenge of our society now.
Yeah, we can, and well, obviously, if truth hit you in the face, we wouldn't know it for a variety of reasons. Because I think, you know, like it's the crafting of your own truth today too, out of bits of fact. And I think, you know, the recent assassination at the Catholic school was terrible. But what I found was kind of crazy or kind of interesting was that all sides of the spectrum, political spectrum, found ways to take this situation that sort of benefit, politicize and benefit what they're looking like. They're, you know, targeting the murderer and saying he, she, they were affiliated with this ideal, and that's the crazy thing too. Because well, then where's objectivity? Where does truth hit you in the face? I think everybody's already sort of that question doesn't even matter anymore. I almost feel like it's about, can I be the first on X to say something that would trend or say something? Because there's a lot of that. There's a lot of these hard stance opinions that will either generate the buzz because by labeling this person this and saying he, she killed them, he, she is a trans, thus, therefore, et cetera, what are the implications? But then there's like all these other layers of things. So that's the crazy part of it.
Yeah.
The degradation of objectivity, sort of, the degradation of like truth seeking, but that sounds like a laughable notion now, you know, in today's age. It's like no one's really, we all know that we want facts and truth, but what's really important is, you know, what's the take that is the sugar take, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the currency of information right now is not truth. It is excitement. It is capturing that attention. You know, when you're posted on X, it doesn't matter what your take is, as long as it gets likes and it gets attention and it gets spreaded and it goes viral and you become viral and you want to just keep sending it. And that's the system of control. That's the system of expansion. I mean, that's just the way it grows, you know. But underneath it all, obviously, truth still remains, you know,
It's still there.
a pillar,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Like if you went on and just said all a bunch of lies, if you lose that credibility,
Yeah.
credibility is hard to earn again, you know. It's hard to get back, you know.
Well, that's why everybody plays off the perception of truth, though, because it's hard. It's hard for someone to call you out and objectively say, "See, you were wrong or you're misleading." Then it's hard to get that back. But you can finagle your way and have some semblance of truth all the time, even if you're saying bullshit stuff.
Yeah.
Because you can adapt words in ways that have some element of truth, like the recent assassinations. But that's the problem we live in. It's it's where the attention span values the intrigue over full truth or full, because truth is never, I mean, it's not always like that, easily black and white of this and that. There's shreds of perspective and truth here and there, but that's not even the question anymore. People just want just have to be coherent and believable enough and intriguing.
And sensational, you know? They want that sensationalism of something. And I hear exactly what you're saying because it happens all the time on X. There's a lot of these influencers. I follow a lot of them. And a lot of them just say things that aren't, you know, subjectively true or not. It's really just, it's kind of an opinion, you know. But there's my belief and truth in this, even though whatever it might be, you know, you can't really fact check it because it's just kind of out there, you know. But it's sending at least a message or a feeling across a huge spectrum. And they have such a huge influence, too. They have it's kind of weird that any average Joe who does become viral on X can have just as much, if not a larger influence on even celebrity voices now, you know, because they have literally all the time millions and millions of ears, or in this case, in their eyes, you know, like hearing you out, whatever you say, whatever you want to say. That's power. That's a lot of like influence that you can change in the perspectives of people, you know, which is kind of weird. It's kind of crazy that nowadays.
And of course, it's great if you envision a world where it's like, well, imagine someone like Martin Luther King who had the ability to like tweet stuff or post stuff and inspire people, and you know, you can organize better. But the reality is the technology has led us down a path to just facilitate sugar through these means of words and sensationalism. So that's the problem, really. It's not.
Imagine if like Jesus lived in this day. He went on X. He's like, I am Jesus, Lord and God of the world. You know, how would that work out? You know,
I don't know. Yeah.
And he had the power of this gigantic megaphone across the whole world. Let the world know that I am the savior of the world.
Yeah.
You know.
And you'd have the people who would hate him and accuse him, but then you'd have a secret following. And I don't know. I can't even reconcile what that would even look like, but I don't know.
But then he's also followed by 12 disciples.
Only 12 followers on this.
But all of them proclaim Jesus is the one, that this guy right here, listen to what he's got to say.
Except for doubting Thomas, or no, Judas betrayed him.